Authorities admit they're losing the fight to stop coronavirus spreading through Sydney. Cases now emerging from our northern beaches to Liverpool Hospital. Children and staff from a Macquarie Park daycare centre are being tested tonight amid fears they've been exposed to the disease from the aged care centre across the road.
A 95-year-old nursing home resident, Australia's second fatal victim of the coronavirus, and 6 more confirmed cases overnight. Today, those in charge were conceding.
Containment is likely to be an unlikely outcome.
We are not going to be able to contain this virus.
Among the new corona patients, a registrar doctor, aged in her 20s, who worked in the emergency department at Liverpool Hospital.
Our priority will be contacting the patients and any of the healthcare staff that need to be quarantined as a precaution.
The backtracking so far suggests the doctor had contact with 23 staff and 5 patients. They're facing 14 days in isolation. There are now 2 doctors from Liverpool and Ryde hospitals who've been infected with COVID-19. And we now know both attended a radiologist conference in Sydney in February. They didn't know each other and had no direct contact on the day.
We're recontacting everyone who attended that workshop at the same time.
Hospitals, a nursing home and now a childcare centre has been thrust into this emergency. The concern is 17 children from the Banksia Centre on the Macquarie University campus may have been exposed to the virus after visiting the Baptist Care nursing home 10 days ago.
We are going to have a clinic later on tonight and invite the families with their children to get assessed.
The nursing home is now in complete lockdown. Residents have been confined to their rooms and visitors have been banned. It's also been revealed that 4 family members of the 95-year-old woman who passed away here have shown symptoms and are now being tested. Some staff here are clearly rattled and failed to turn up to work.
It's understandable because people are frightened. They're scared of just what this virus could do.
We have 55 cases of coronavirus in Australia, with 22 in New South Wales alone. In South Australia, the youngest victim, an 8-month-old baby and his mother, who recently travelled from Iran. Meanwhile, GPs fear they may be forced to turn away patients suspected of having the virus because of a shortage of face masks.
The government has got about 20 million face masks in storage. My question is, when is the right time for them to release it? I would suggest the time is now.
Pete, the tentacles of this virus certainly run deep. The granddaughter of the 95-year-old woman who passed away here, well, her husband works as a chef at Clayton Utes in the city. Now, as tenuous as that may sound, it was enough for the big law firm to feel a little nervous. They've decided to close their doors, send staff home until they know the results of testing on those family members. Pete?
Damien, thank you. We're going to breaking news now. Australians have been caught up in a coronavirus emergency in the United States. US correspondent Tim Avia has the details. Tim, there are fears another cruise ship could be contaminated.
That's right, Pete. 4 Australians on board the Grand Princess are currently being held off the Californian coast after fears they've been exposed to coronavirus. 1 American passenger on board the ship has already died from the virus. Now 21 other people on board are also showing symptoms. It's unknown if any Aussies are among that group, but authorities are going to keep the ship offshore until they can thoroughly assess the situation. They are going to use helicopters to transport screening kits to and from the Grand Princess. Pete?
All right, Tim Avia reporting from Los Angeles. Thank you. The battle to protect our borders is ramping up. Travellers from South Korea, a virus hotspot, are now banned from entering the country. Tourists from Italy also face tougher restrictions, while the ordeal is finally over for Australians in quarantine.
Brick by brick, slowly a wall seems to be growing around Australia. First it was non-Australian citizens from China and Iran banned from entering the country. Now South Korea is on the list, all because it has the largest number of cases outside of China. Italy is not on the list, but anyone coming in now faces stricter screening, including temperature checking on arrival.
That affords the best protection and will enable us to, as has always been our objective, to slow down the rate of transmission.
Italy is the epicentre of Europe's virus outbreak, and it feels like it's shutting up shop. All schools and universities will close for at least another 10 days. All major sporting events, including its top-tier football league, will be played behind closed doors, with fans banished from the stands. Its Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte declaring, "We will have a problem with intensive care if an exponential crisis continues." The virus has now hit 80 countries. That's doubled in the last week. There are 95,000 cases, 3,250 dead, 2 in Australia.
I think we need to actually not accept the figures from some modellers that are coming out and saying, look, 100,000 people in Australia are going to die, because I think that's very unlikely on the data we have available at the moment.
Laboratories all around the world are working on a vaccine.
Ideally, in this setting, you'd aim for a vaccine in a year or so, and that would be really a very good way of doing it. It'd be quite quick.
After being praised by the Prime Minister, Qantas today put on notice for potentially putting passengers and staff at risk of catching the virus. SafeWork New South Wales ordering the airline to improve its aircraft cleaning standards. Not everyone is gripped with concern over the virus. This was Prince William at an event in Ireland. And missing home for the last 4 weeks, passengers from the Diamond Princess.
Taking our masks off has been amazing.
Free today after 2 weeks quarantine on the ship and another 2 weeks locked up in a Darwin detention centre.
We're homeward bound, so yeah.
I think I'm going to cry.
Ken and Maitran Donnelly missed the birth of their first grandson.
Happy day today. We're home free finally. 45 days, that's a long trip. 45 days. We buy one and get two free.
Their diamond days finally behind them.
Team effort.
That's why I love to be Aussie. Oi.
Mark Burrows, 9 News.
All right, I want to go to Sydney Airport now, where there are concerns a Qantas flight from Japan has been exposed to coronavirus. Nine's Laura Tunstall is there. Laura, passengers were escorted from the aircraft.
Yeah, they were, Pete. This was QF40. It arrived here at Sydney Airport at 9:20 this morning from Sapporo, and a man on board the flight had been showing flu-like symptoms. Now, 9 News understands that passengers who were sitting near him towards the back of the plane were given face masks to wear for some of the duration of that flight. However, on landing here at Sydney Airport, quarantine officials boarded the plane. They escorted the man and also his partner who was travelling with him off that plane. They are now in the care of New South Wales Health, where they'll be tested for coronavirus, Pete.
Laura, thank you. No rest for Sydney shoppers panicked about coronavirus. Pallet loads of toilet paper were snapped up from an inner west service station in the dead of night. The midnight delivery to the Five Dock store was gone in a matter of minutes, but suppliers say demand for the item will be met.
We're definitely seeing people go out and wanting to buy toilet paper, and I think that's just fueling the frenzy. But we definitely have a lot of stock, and our mill is actually working around the clock down in South Australia to ensure that we can produce the demand we're seeing.
And a dispute over toilet paper led to a man being tasered by police in the state's northeast. The 50-year-old reportedly assaulting staff and a customer in Tamworth.